Downtown Rockford birdwatchers bid farewell to Louise, one of the city's high-flying official fowl. But WIFR's Nathaniel Langley learns why the arrival of a female peregrine falcon shows progress for the once endangered species.
John Long Henry guesses he's peered at hundreds of thousands of birds.
As I travel around,
but one soars above the rest.
you get attached to a bird and realizing, come and go, but not like Louise.
Louise, a peregrine falcon, made a home on downtown Rockford's former news tower for nearly a decade.
Watched her, watch her behavior, got to the point where you could almost predict when she was going to take off.
But Louise disappeared around August 2025.
At this point, I think we can assume that she's presumably deceased.
That left her peregrine partner Brian alone. Until a new female flew into his life.
They were definitely not a bonded pair.
What was it like for you seeing this new female arrive to the tower?
I mean, it's part exciting because she's unbanded.
Once down to a single breeding pair in Chicago in 1988, there are now peregrines in 28 different locations across Illinois.
The population of peregrines in the Midwest is to a point where there's so many nesting locations that you can't find them all.
Do you feel like this is kind of an example of maybe conservation efforts working?
Absolutely.
I think one of the lessons we can learn is how we as humans continue to protect birds.
Brian and his new partner are incubating 4 eggs.
It's not the same.
But Long Henry says he'll keep his eyes up and heart open.
I like falcons, period, so I'm going to like her.
In Rockford, Nathaniel Langley, WIFR News.
Cora Das says she's torn on whether to name the unbanded female peregrine. The society president leans towards starting a survey for the community to weigh in or offer ideas.